Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I announced on my Discord a while ago that I'm going to be going over the Phase 6 best in slot sheets on my Twitch that I'm going to link in the description down below. And we did do that. We did stream, played a little bit of Shadowlands, went over all the different best in slot sheets for Phase 6 on my Twitch. So if you're not following my Twitch, go down to the link down below, come hang out sometime. It was a good time. Anyways, we're going to use that VOD that we had in that Twitch stream to go over that Phase 6 BIS list today. Alright, so the first gear setup we're going to look at, this gear setup right here that we're going to look at, is just going to be like your typical single target best in slot list. This is going to be like your ideal bossing best in slot list. And there are some things that change and alternate here. So what changes and alternates here is obviously Ateash. Not everyone's going to get Ateash, so you could easily just go like Wraithblade, main hand, and Sephiron's left eye offhand. So let's look at what that would look like. We would end up gaining quite a bit of stats off that, and also it's actually a slight DPS increase to have the main hand and offhand combination and be in an Ateash group, and that's technically the best thing that you can have. Ateash is a super good weapon, don't get me wrong, but it's slightly more damage if you have main hand offhand combo and are then put into an Ateash group for this. So also I wanted to mention that Doomfinger is very similar in DPS output to Wand of Fates, and usually Wand of Fates is going to be the easier item to get because mages are not going to be wanting a whole bunch of hit rating. They're going to be wanting to drop hit rating since they have so much. So mages are really going to want Doomfinger. So since Wand of Fates for Warlock is about the same DPS output, it is also an option to just grab the Wand of Fates if it's easier for you to acquire within your guild. But anyways, guys, this is the single target setup, like I said before. So this is going to be your best, most optimal setup for a single target boss. And there's a few different variations. One, we already talked about the weapon, right? But another variation is the Mark of the Champion. Not every single mob and not every single boss in Naxxramas is going to be able to use this effect. And also, it's important to note that if you have a fast boss fight, which your boss fights most likely aren't going to be fast enough at the very beginning of progressing through Naxxramas, but when your boss fights do get faster, it is really good to have the Sephiron trinket as well, the restrained essence of Sephiron. This is also a super good trinket. It's like having the passive spell power of your Rune of the Dawn, and also having a miniature Toab on top of that. So this trinket is super good as well. It's great on trash, and it's good on bosses, but compared to Mark of the Champion, I would take Mark of the Champion, the KT trinket, over this trinket on a super long duration fight like KT, Sephiron, Lothib, and things of that nature. This is going to gain more and more value the shorter the fight is. And of course it's super good on trash, because on trash we want to be dropping hit rating anyway, so we could swap this out for tier. And one of the like nicest trinket combos we could go for is like Restrained Essence and Mark of the Champion for trash, but we'll talk about that when we get to the trash setup. Another thing that you could swap around in this single target boss setup, and I say boss setup, not trash setup, because we have 13% hit rating. That would be way too much hit rating against trash. But another item that you could get is Band of the Inevitable off of Noth the Plaguebringer instead of Seal of the Damned. Seal of the Damned is really good as well, but generally speaking, Seal of the Damned and Band of the Inevitable, DPS-wise, are about the same. I tend to like to play with a little bit more crit rating, so I like going for Seal of the Damned, but in reality, Band of the Inevitable and Seal of the Damned for just the single target boss scenario is about the same. It really depends on what situation you're in, because if you're in a situation where you can really utilize multi-dotting, like 4 horsemen, for example, if you're doing the carousel method where you're running around dotting all 4 of the 4 horsemen, then of course the spell power is going to be better than the critical strike rating from Seal of the Damned. So there are some situations where Band of the Inevitable pulls ahead of Seal of the Damned just by a little bit if you're relying on AoE or multi-dotting or things of that nature. But just for single target, they're about the same. But again, this is one of these items where mages are probably going to want Seal of the Damned, and mages probably are not going to want Band of the Inevitable in your guild, so Band of the Inevitable is probably going to be the easier item for you to grab. Let me answer a few questions for you guys real quick. Can't wait to snag a Taesh. Is Kazakh Pants technically BIS while waiting for Polarity for mage? Well, first of all, I don't think Polarity Leggings should be Mage Prio. With the way that Ignite is working, mages lean slightly less into crit and more into spell power. And generally speaking, Leggings of Polarity are about as good for a Warlock as they are for a mage. I don't think that Leggings of Polarity should have any sort of class prio. I don't think it's so good for a mage that it deserves a strict mage prio, and I don't think it's so good for Warlock that it just deserves a strict Warlock prio. I think it's about the same for both. Hey man, it's been 10 years. Welcome back. It's been about 12 years, yeah. About 12 years since I last streamed. What is the carousel method? So people call it by a lot of different names, but basically what the method is on 4 horsemen, there's usually one boss that you want to nuke down super hard. One of the front 2 bosses, depends on what you guys are going for, usually the green boss. But what you do after you go in is, let's say you're starting off the fight as a Warlock. You're gonna go asked to go in against one of the bosses that you're trying to nuke. You nuke him until you have too many stacks that you need to move out. And normally, when someone needs to move out to drop their stacks, they go to the center of the room where the 4 horsemen initially are, and they sit there until their stacks drop. Thank you so much for the follow, Hittin'. But normally they go back to the middle of the room and let their stacks drop. But as an SM Warlock, since you have increased range on your affliction spells, 36-yard range, instead what you can do is you can do a carousel, you can do like a roundabout. Instead of sitting in the middle of the room, you can outrange the abilities of all the bosses by staying over 30 yards away, and you can go around to all the other 3 horsemen, and you can stay out of the chain lightning of the white horseman, you can stay out of the void zone of the purple horseman, and you can stay out of all those different mechanics while putting up all your multi-dots. So let's say your affliction and you have the extended reach on your affliction spells, you nuke the first boss, boom, 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 nuke. Okay, we need to drop our stacks. Instead of going to the middle, you just do a big circle, dot, 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 1, go to the next one, dot, 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 go to the next one, dot, 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 come back. And if you do that method, it is extremely hard for any other class in the game to out DPS you, because you just, while they're sitting there dropping stacks, you're just pumping more and more damage. And in that sort of scenario, where we get to multi-dot over and over, that's when we start to change our gear setup. You'd want to drop Gem of Innocence, or Trapped Innocence, for the Ragnaros necklace. You'd want to drop Leggings of Polarity for Fel-infused leggings, and lean more towards that spell power heavy setup. Hey, sorry if you went over this. Nightfall, any info on that proc being significantly better, making it worth for hunters to spam wing clip? Well, it's really going to depend on how many casters you like to bring to your raid, but Nightfall is going to see a very it's gonna be much better now that they fixed the GCD issue. And also, if you're Horde, it's going to be better now that they fixed the Shaman improved weapon totem talent as well, because now Shamans can realistically spec into improved weapon totems and swing Nightfall only on bosses that require little healing. If there's a lot of healing to be done, then you don't want your Shamans swinging Nightfall Axe all the time. Taboo, thank you very much for the follow. But like off tanks, for example, with the whole global on hit thing being fixed, being able to spam hamstring is an option. If you have off tanks that don't have an assignment, they can spam Nightfall Axe. And if you have an off tank that does have an assignment, then you could potentially resort to a hunter as well, since hunters do pretty low damage compared to the other classes in Naxxramas. But it really depends on how many casters you're bringing and what uptime your hunter can do. But really it should be like off tank, or if it's a low healing output fight, you could do shaman as well. Alright, let's move on to the second one. So this is the single target only boss setup. Best in slot, best thing that we can get. And the variable pieces are Seal of the Damned, Mark of the Champion, and Wand of Fates, and the weapon if you can get your hands on Antaeus. So let's move on to the next one. So this is a setup where we're looking for just trash damage, single target trash damage. And what changed about this setup is we're still keeping our 4-piece bonus, which is really, really important because 12% damage on corruption is a ton of extra damage. But still, the 4-piece bonus is just generally going to be great regardless. Not to mention that the tier 3 pieces, it's hard to replace them with something profitable, like stat profitable anyways, just because they have such good stats on them no matter what. But the pieces that changed here primarily are we drop our wrists and get Soul Harvester's bindings as well. And you can swap Soul Harvester's bindings for something like Burrower's Bracers off of Uro if you don't have Soul Harvester's bindings, because I'm sure that the mages are going to want Soul Harvester bindings as well, since they're looking to drop hit rating so much. Dropping our hit rating on our gloves and swapping back to the Ebony Flame Gauntlets all the way back from Blackwing Lair, which is kind of crazy, right? Something all the way back from Phase 3 is something that we can use on Naxxramas. Well, I guess it's not that crazy since, you know, tier is also super overpowered.
It was about the 3rd week.
Oh no, what happened? Ads on YouTube. Oh no, cringe. All right, there we go. Fixed. Easy, boys. And again, this is where Antaeus actually starts becoming really, really handy, is when you're trying to min-max trash damage. And I know, guys, this is unrealistic. I am very, very aware that not everyone's going to get Antaeus, and you're definitely not going to get Antaeus just for trash gear swapping, right? That's not going to happen. But I still want to talk about the possibilities that you can have for trash gear with Antaeus, just in case you are that selected person in your guild that ends up receiving an Antaeus. So the nice thing about Antaeus on trash gear setups is when you have main hand, offhand, you don't really have that many profitable options to drop your hit rating. When you look at Antaeus, this has no hit rating on it already, which is really, really good for trash. But if you compare it to like the main hand, offhand combination, it's really hard because your main hand, offhand are always going to have hit rating if you get a really, really good main hand and offhand, aka something from Naxxramas. And if you try to get something from one of the later dungeons, it's just not going to be as profitable as of a trade. You might as well just keep the overage of hit rating. So like if we look at the stats of Wraithblade, let's say you have main hand offhand combo. It has a hit rating and you're going to be well over hit cap for trash. But what are you going to trade this away for? Even if the hit rating does absolutely nothing for us, it still has 95 spell power and 1 crit. So it's not like we can just easily drop that hit rating and just replace it with something else. So Antaeus really, really helps us drop hit rating quite a lot. And then again, we have Doomfinger once again, but like I said, it's going to be hard to get your hands on Doomfinger, but this is just going to be a perfect setup in a dream world where we have absolutely everything. Are you going to post this on YouTube also? I have raid soon. Yeah, I'll be posting this on YouTube as well. No worries. Considering the melee heavy meta, most trash and bosses are going down quite fast. If you can't have a minimum of 4 Warlock setup, would you still go for Shadow Spec, or can Fire be viable? Fire's not going to be that good in Naxxramas, really, because 1, we have 4-piece tier 3, which increases our corruption damage and does absolutely nothing for our fire spec. And of course you have the 2-piece bonus, but that's very, very minor. But generally speaking, our shadow spells just scale so much better than fire. The only time we really want to be fire is if warlocks aren't good enough to the point where you only want to bring 2 warlocks for Curse of Wreck and Curse of Elements. That's the only time you want to bring fire. Or if you're in a speedrun scenario, and most of the strategies that your guild employs in the speedrun scenario includes hellfiring, rain of firing, and like mass AoE. If you guys are heavily relying on AoE to clear your trash packs, that is also another reason to go fire. But is fire just straight up better if you don't have 4 warlocks? No, not necessarily. It really depends on what strategies you guys are going for. What's your thoughts on SM Ruin and Nax? SM Ruin and Nax, it has a few niche spots where it's going to be better. Kind of like how I explained the 4 horsemen strategy. It's got a few niche areas where it's going to be better, but generally speaking, SM Ruin isn't just magically better than DS Ruin on single target boss scenarios. The only time SM Ruin actually pulls ahead of DS Ruin is if on trash packs we get to multi-dot and not AoE, like the post twins trash in AQ. That's really good for SM, where you get to spread out your mobs and multi-dot all of them and actually gain all the effects of your multi-dots, like your dots can tick fully through. But the more that we stack things in AoE, the worse SM is going to be. So if Naxxramas comes down to guilds cheesing AoE and basically making the instance like AoE trash, single target bosses, AoE trash, single target bosses, then SM's really not going to be that good. But if for some reason the trash is too difficult that we can't stack it up and AoE it, and we have to spread out the trash, so like let's say the Death Knights on the horses in the military quarter that have the shadow aura, if we have to spread out those mobs because we're not able to stack them, it's too much damage output, then SM is going to be better. But really it just depends on how easy Naxxramas is. The easier Naxxramas is, the more probable it's going to be that we need to run DS. The harder the mobs are, and specifically the trash mobs are in Naxxramas, the more likely it is that we'll be able to run SM. What IRL consumes do you use for raid? Usually just a cup of coffee and some water, and that's it. Yo man, last I heard of you, you were designing a Destro Raiden build? Raiding build? What? You mean, are you talking about the fire spec? I made a whole video on the fire spec if that's what you're talking about. Is 4-8 tier 3 BIS, even if my guild doesn't allow corruption slot? Well, 4 out of 8 tier 3 is going... That bonus is still going to be really helpful on trash because you still should be able to use corruption on trash. And on top of that, your guild honestly should be allowing 1 to 2 corruption slots on bosses. If they're not allowing 1 to 2 corruption slots on bosses, then you guys don't have optimal debuffs, especially if you're Horde. But still, the tier 3 is still going to be our best in slot. Like if we look at the robe, nothing is going to beat this robe. Nothing is going to beat this helmet, regardless of the set bonus. Nothing's going to beat this helmet. The only thing that would even come close to these shoulders, to the tier 3 shoulders, would be the rime covered mantle here. These are just barely better, but it's pretty much just about the same, so you might as well just leave rime covered mantle to go to your mages. Because even if you have a corruption slot, just the raw DPS value is about the same. And same for the boots. The boots are pretty much just the best in slot boots no matter what. So even if you don't have a corruption slot on a boss for any given reason, these 4-piece tier 3 items that we're using are just so good that it's hard to replace them for pretty much any reason, unless you're specifically trying to drop hit rating. G Fuel, duh, like all gamers that don't actually use it. No, I'm all about that Juju, dude. If Juju ever wants to give me a sponsorship, I'm right here. Juju's where it's at, man. Forget G Fuel. Ew, coffee? What do you mean, ew, coffee? I love coffee. Coffee's amazing. How do you guys not like coffee? Are you crazy? Don't tell me that you wake up in the morning and the very first thing you do is pop an energy drink. That is disgusting, okay? Like popping an energy drink as your first consumable of the day with all that like syrupy sugar. No, that's way too zoomer for me. But anyways, back to the trash gear setup. We lean more towards Band of the Inevitable because the spell power is generally going to be more useful on trash than the critical strike rating of Seal of the Damned. Just because on trash we can make use of multi-dotting, and if we can't use multi-dotting and instead we're AoEing, the spell power from this ring is still going to be better than the crit on Seal of the Damned for that AoE. And leggings of the polarity, this also really just depends on what kind of trash we're fighting. If we're doing any sort of multi-dotting at all, you immediately swap leggings of polarity back to Fel-Infused legging. Same for Gem of Trapped Innocence. Gem of Trapped Innocence is going to be the best trash damage necklace if we're fighting one singular mob. But if we're doing any sort of multi-dotting or AoEing or anything like that whatsoever, you want to just go back to the Phase 1 Ragnaros necklace. And that's about the only thing that changes from the boss setup to the trash setup. We just drop as much hit rating as possible and end up going for as much spell power as possible. And then you swap some crit items like the pants and the necklace for more spell power, depending on what scenario you're in. Any PvP setups? Yeah, I have a PvP setup coming as well. What about Coke? Coca-Cola? Coke is okay. Usually I only have like one soda every couple days or something like that. I don't really drink that much soda. I'm not an Asmongold. I can't do that. Soda's too sugary for me. I'd rather have like some juice, you know? If I want like a sugary drink, I like juice. Like guava juice. Oh man, guava juice is good. Or Martinelli's. Have you guys ever had Martinelli's apple juice? I'm all about the Pepsi Max. Do you expect TBC out soon? I expect TBC out probably at the end of the summer, I would guess. Ish. Around that time. Alright, so did I miss anything about this setup? Technically against a level 62 mob in this setup, and this is kind of important to mention, against a level 62 mob in this setup, you only really want 5% hit rating. And against a level 63 mob, that's essentially a boss, so you want as much hit rating as possible. But against a level 62 mob and 61 mob, where you need 5% hit or 4% hit, you'll notice in this setup that we actually have 6% hit. And that's because we can't really drop hit rating anywhere. Like if we were to look at our cloak has 1% hit rating on it. But can we drop this cloak for anything better? Not really, because we have Cloak of the Devoured. This also has hit rating on it. We have Cloak of the Broodlord. This doesn't have hit rating on it. That's fantastic. But it has the same spell power, and the other cloak has a crit rating on it. So there's really no reason to even go for Cloak of the Broodlord. So we do have 6% hit rating. Thank you very much for the follow. We do have 6% hit rating, but that's only because we can't really drop our hit rating anywhere else. Okay, let's move on to the next setup. This is going to be for PvP. And the reason I leave the trinket slots open is obviously because all of you guys know, right? And in PvP, your trinket setup depends on what is going on. Depends on if you're in a 1v1 scenario, if you're playing Warsong Gulch, if you're playing defensive, offensive. You know, it just depends on what you're doing. Hold on 1 second, I got a cough. So yeah, it really just depends on what you guys are doing. So I'm not going to include a trinket setup for this, for the PvP setup, because it's just not realistic, right? Just imagine these are whatever you want them to be. But going off the rings first, we go with Seal of the Damned in Play Card Ring. Technically, you don't really need the hit rating from Seal of the Damned that much, but the big thing about Seal of the Damned is it has 17 stamina on it. Hit, spell power, and crit. It could potentially not need the hit rating depending on what setup you're going for, but still 17 stamina and spell power and crit is pretty freaking good. And also we have the tier 3 ring, play cart ring. This ring, most of the other classes in the game, their tier 3 rings are pretty good for PvE, but for Warlock, our play cart ring is pretty much just strictly for PvP. 24 stamina on a ring is fucking huge, you guys. It really is. 24 stamina is huge. So the tier 3 ring is definitely a good ring to have in PvP. And then again, we just go straight back to like plague heart sandals, fell infused leggings. You could also use like the epic PvP legs, depending on what items you get. You could swap it around, because if you guys notice here, we are using 2-piece epic PvP set for the plus 20 stamina, and you're pretty much always gonna want the 2-piece set for the plus 20 stamina. The plus 20 stamina is just so good in PvP. So you could use that 2-piece setup and go for legs as well with your 2-piece setup, but really it just depends on what gear you have. And then we go with the Plague Heart belt instead of the Eye Stalker waist cord, just because it has significantly more stamina. You could once again go with the Eye Stalker waist cord if you really want the more damage, but if we look at the stats here, the Eye Stalker waist cord has 41 spell power, 1 crit, 10 stamina. This has 34 power, or spell power, 1 crit, 23 stamina. So really we're trading 7 spell power for 13 stamina, and I'll take that trade all day. 13 stamina for 7 spell power, and that's not even including how the stamina scales with Blessing of Kings if you're Alliance, or how the stamina scales with Demonic Embrace and the Demonology tree. So I like the Plague Heart belt for PvP, honestly. I like just being a big beefy boy, you know. Is the 8-piece bonus good in PvP? No. I mean, the only time you're really life tapping in PvP is like after a fight has already finished, or if a fight has gone really long, but the 8-piece bonus is really not going to do pretty much anything for you in PvP at all. And then Gem of Trapped Innocence. Once again, this has the most stamina out of our like offensive necklaces. So if we compare this to, let's see here, Amulet of Vecnilish, 9 stamina, also has 9 stamina. Choker of the Firelord, 7. So technically these two necklaces both have 9 stamina, and Amulet or Choker of the Firelord only has 7, only 2 stamina difference. So really your neck just depends on what spec you're playing. Like if you're going into PvP as Conflag spec and you just want to blow someone up immediately, delete them off the face of the planet, I would go for Gem of Trapped Innocence, obviously, because, you know, critting is better than not critting. Come on, obviously. But if we're playing a more like dot heavy build, like let's say we're playing like Siphon Life, or not Siphon Life, let's say we're playing Soul Link and like Soul Link Nightfall or something like that, where it's more of like a control-y type setup and dot heavy setup, then I would just go back to Choker of the Firelord, no big deal. And as you guys may have noticed, there's one big difference about this setup, and that is Necro Knight's Garb. Now, if we look at Necro Knight's Garb, why the hell... chat, okay. Tell me why we would use Necro Knight's Garb over tier 3. Look at the stats. Okay, Necro Knight's Garb, where'd it go? 37 spell power, right? 37 spell power. Now let's look at Plague Heart Robe. 51 spell power, and 1 crit, and 1 hit. The only thing Necro Knight's robe has is 5 more stamina. So why are we wearing Necro Knight's robe? What the hell? Are we retarded? Yep. Oh, you got it right away, Phils. Damn, we have a 5 head in the chat. You guys are smarter than I thought. Yeah, check out this armor, you guys. Let's look at the highest item level robes in the game. So Doomcaller's robes, what we have right now, 133 armor, right? Tier 3 robes, 138 armor. Only goes up by 5 armor. Now we look at Necro Knight's Garb, 448. 440, that's like 3 times the armor, you guys. That's crazy. Obviously, we don't really need Necro Knight's Garb if we're like against a priest, or if we're against, you know, a mage or a warlock. Obviously. But if we're against any physical DPS, this robe is sick, you guys. Literally like triple, quadruple the armor compared to any other robe just for no reason at all. That's sick. And it's got some BIS looks too. The looks are not bad. Look at this gear setup, right? Imagine seeing this bad boy in PvP. I don't know about you guys, but if I was a warrior or a mage and I saw this guy coming after me, I get the fuck out of there. Look at that. That's like the bringer of death right there. You look like a Nexramus boss, don't you? Okay. Human male. It defaults to human male, okay? Wowhead just defaults to human male, okay? Here, let me fix it. Let me fix it. Proper race. We're a proper race now. Undead. There you go. You happy? There we go. There we go. It looks sick though, right? I love the way this robe looks. It looks great. Wait, what's... Oh. Orc is BIS? No, shut up, critic. No, you're gross. That's disgusting. Everyone shame critic in chat, okay? Orc Warlock? What do we think of orcs? What do we think of orcs? Disgusting. Fuck orc warlocks. Disgusting, man. But yeah, this looks great. But this is a PvP setup. We also go with plague heart bindings, and this is kind of the same scenario as we were talking about before with the belt. Soul harvester's bindings, these are also good. If we look at the spell power, plague heart bindings are only... What is going on with the client? What? Okay, there we go. Woo! Plague heart bindings, they only have 2 more spell power, and this has a crit. But we're looking at the stamina trade-off. 23 stamina, and this has 14 stamina. So really, we're trading... We're gaining 2 spell power. We're gaining 2 spell power and 9 stamina for 1 crit. And that's a trade that I like to take, because most of the time in PvP, especially if you're in a pre-made, like let's say you're doing a Warsong Gulch pre-made or an AB pre-made, the main role of the Warlock is to be control, like put out Curse of Tongues, apply pressure with dots, fear people, manage your Fell Hunter silence and dispels. In AB, you're probably anchoring BS or anchoring some sort of base. So really, I like to have that little bit more stamina and spell power. The only time I would go for Soul Harvester's bindings instead is if I was running Conflag and I was just going around the world looking to, you know, bum rush people and blow them up, you know. Which Soul Harvester bindings are great for that. It's great for Conflag, of course. And personally, Conflag is my favorite spec for PvP. I think Conflag's super fun to play. But if we're talking about like serious PvP, probably just go for Plague Heart. And again, the staff Ateish has 30 stamina, so it's really good. But obviously, I know, you guys don't have to flame me. Not everyone's getting Ateish, right? I'm probably not even getting Ateish myself. I've had Ateish before on private servers, right? So I don't care if I get Ateish. I think it'd be cool. Obviously, Ateish is a sweet item. But I don't really care if I get it or not. So let's say you don't get a Tash. Soul Seeker is a pretty good item. This also gives you 30 stamina. And 25 Spell Pen is not too bad, because a lot of the players are going to get a lot of like passive resistances this late in the game. Especially in a dueling scenario. In a one-on-one scenario, they know to stack Shadow Resistance because they know you're a Warlock. So this is really going to help out in a dueling scenario, trying to cut through the resistances of your opponent. And this will help out a little bit in BGs. And BGs, people have less shadow resistance, but it's still going to help out, because when you're buffing up before the gates open for Warsong or AB or whatever, the priests are going to buff shadow resistance, and you know, the 25 spell pen is going to help. And of course, this also has 30 stamina, so this is also good. Brimstone Staff, on the other hand, this is okay. Has 31 stamina, but what I don't like about Brimstone Staff is it has 2% hit rating, and the chance for the hit rating to be relevant in PvP with the hit rating that we already have in this setup, it's really quite low. It's really not going to be that relevant, you know. Definitely Orc is BIS and TBC. Human spit is dirty. Well, okay, so Orc is technically BIS and PvE for TBC. You're not wrong. Brain Stew, thank you so much for the follow, man. I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, you're not wrong. For PvE in TBC, Orc is BIS, but they're still ugly little fucks. I don't like them, especially a male Orc. I don't care. Oh, Gul'dan's like an original Warlock. How do you not like male Orc Warlocks are stupid, man. Like you have like this steroid ridden, like huge muscly guy, like rippling shoulders, He's got like cannonballs for shoulders, right? Fucking huge guy. And he's like, oh yeah, I cast spells, by the way. I'm a warlock. Like, no, it just doesn't work. Like, if you're a male orc, put a big fucking axe in your hands, or like, you know, be a warrior, or like an enhancement shaman. Go melee some people. Don't be a spellcaster. That's stupid. That's stupid. If you're gonna go, okay, if you're gonna go orc for TBC, right? If you're gonna go orc for TBC, at least be female. Then you at least look like you're supposed to be a caster. Unfollowed. Wow, dude. Wow, dude. That's harsh. That's harsh. See, Calaxy just followed. He agrees with me. Calaxy feels me. He agrees with my opinion. So we traded out Semper God. He unfollowed, and we gained Calaxy. So that's a bonus, okay? And Sneo agrees with me. Thank you very much for the follow, guys. I appreciate that. Tier 3, huge shoulders. Okay, that's like literally the only good thing about, that's literally the only good thing about a male orc. Your shoulders look big, but that's it. Will T3 last till level 70? Generally speaking, a lot of the next Rammus gear will last till 70, especially like your trinket slots. Tier 3 can as well. It just kind of depends. Like if you get your spell strike setup, you're just going to replace your tier 3 right away because spell strike's super good. Same thing with tier 4. Tier 4, you want your 2-piece bonus in TBC. The 2-piece bonus for tier 4 is super good, so that's also going to replace. You know what they say, big shoulders, big big shoulder pads. Big shoulders means big shoulder pads. That's probably what you're going for, Silver. I got you, dude. I definitely don't agree with you, but you're awesome, so it doesn't matter. What? I mean, I appreciate the compliment, Sneo, but how do you not agree with me? Oh, you're a shoulder boy too. Sneo, you're a shoulder boy too. It's all about the big... What is up with you guys? You guys just like big shoulders, huh? Gay. You guys just like big things. I got you. Any winkers in the chat? But okay, so this is generally the PvP setup. Like I said, there's a few different things you can swap up, and the trinket slots could be anything like a shielding trinket, like Arena Grandmaster is a good trinket. You could go for like an offensive trinket, like Restrained Essence of Sephiron is going to be a super good offensive trinket. And then you have Petrified Scarab if you want resistances to Schools of Magic. But generally speaking, if you're Soul Link, you don't really need Petrified Scarab. You're going to have so much all resist as is. But if you really want to piss off a mage, then you go Soul Link with your Fell Hunter, and on top of that, you get Petrified Scarab. That's how you really piss off a mage, which, trust me, guys, you want to piss off the mage players. Mage players are disgusting. Mage players, honestly, I think mage players are worse than male orc warlock players. Because if you're a male orc warlock, like, you're obviously dumb, right? You have no good taste at all. You have terrible taste if you're a male orc warlock player. But at least you're a warlock, right? At least you chose the best class in the game. Like, your taste is terrible, but at least you pick warlock. A mage, on the other hand, retards. Oh, I don't think I can say that word on Twitch. Can I? I don't think so. TOS. I didn't say anything, guys. Rewind. You are stupid if you're a mage player. Just dumb. You're not good at the game. And you can. Okay, good. Woo. Okay. Yeah, if you're a mage player, this is what it is if you're a mage player. You're not very confident in your World of Warcraft skills, so you choose a handicap class that can do everything easily, like a mage. That way, when you win, it makes you feel better about yourself, but really, you're just picking like a handicap class. It's like playing the game on easy mode, right? It's like, let's say your girlfriend's playing a video game, and you put it on like the easiest difficulty you could possibly find, to where like you can't lose any fight. And then she wins the fight, and she's like, oh, I did it. And you're like, yeah, great job. You did great. That's how you treat mage players. You know what I mean? They're like the newbies to the game. They're sensitive. Yep, that checks out. I feel you, dude. I'm glad you agree. I keep bumping my microphone. I hope that doesn't blow up your guys' ears when I bump into my microphone. I just can't play orc female, and I'm sorry to say it, but I don't really... You don't? like the look of undead. Yes, Neo, you're gonna have to just unfollow for that one. That's borderline like a 24-hour ban. We don't say that here. I don't like the look of undead. I don't even know what to say to you, dude. Shame on you. How can you not like undead? That doesn't make any sense to me. Undead's BIS, literal BIS. Okay, so this is one of the bonus setups, okay? I've got two bonus, well, actually kind of three bonus setups for you guys. I just PM when orc males are BIS. Okay, so with this setup, can anyone tell what this setup is? It should be a dead giveaway what this setup is. Does anyone know what this setup is? Anyone? Any gamers in the chat know what this setup is? It's not a business slot setup. It's not BIS for anything in particular, okay? Let's just get that out of the way right now. So this setup is just a little bit of a bonus setup. This setup, since we're in phase 6 and we have access, yeah, unstable, you're right. Yeah, unstable, you're right. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a show of how much crit you can get with all the gear in the game. Now that we have phase 6 out, technically we have access to all of the gear in the game. So I thought it would be kind of cool, like, how much crit can we actually get if we went for the most crit you could possibly get in the whole game? How much crit could we actually get? And it ends up that totally unbuffed, and you'll see here 0 0 0, no specs at all. So like, we don't have 5% crit from devastation. We're not talking about improved searing pain, nothing like that, right? With just gear alone, no world buffs, no consumes, nothing, 31.6% crit. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's a ton of crit. And then if we put in devastation, that's 5% crit. That brings us up to 36.6% crit. Huge. Okay, now let's count, like, let's say we have world buffs, right? World buffs is another 18% crit. And not even including the intellect. Not even including the intellect. Just the flat percent crit we get. So we're at 36%. Plus another 18%, that brings us up to 54% crit chance. 54% crit chance with no intellect. Then you can add in like arcane intellect, gnome passive if you're a gnome, ZG buff giving us intellect, kings giving us intellect, all that good stuff. So really, you can get insane crit. And then yes, you're right, critic, you're right. Also, we can drop 2% crit rating from one of our trinkets, and if we really want to go for even more crit, we could go for the ZG reel as well. So let's say we had like 54% crit without intellect buffs, right? Let's say we have world buffs, we're spec'd into devastation, 54% crit without the intellect, -2 crit, let's say we get rid of one of these trinkets, -2 crit, 52%, but then we activate real trinket, or not the real, with the ZG trinket, with 62% crit. That's crazy. Isn't Wraithblade and Offhand more? No, both of them give you 2% crit. So like, look, Wraithblade has 1%, right? And Sephiron's left eye, right here, also has 1% crit. And then if we look at the intellect is about the same as well. This one has a little bit more intellect, but generally speaking, both of them are 2%. ZG destruction, 10% crit. Yeah, that one. Hazardous, charm, and destruction. So again, this setup, don't get me wrong, this setup is not BIS and Nexramus. It's not BIS for bosses. It's not BIS for trash. I just thought this was kind of a cool setup, you know? Just seeing how much crit we could get. Just to, you know, experiment a little bit. Okay, so since we saw as much crit as we can get in this setup, does anyone know what the next setup's gonna be? The next bonus boy? Any guessers? Any guessers? But do you have Blood Fury for that massive unarmed uppercut? No. Orc Male BIS! Not true, dude. Not true. Orc Male is gross. Yeah, pure spell power. Man, you guys are on top of it. Yeah, pure spell power setup. Hallie has now followed. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm probably going to pronounce some of your guys' names wrong. Just ignore it. I'm retarded. It's okay. Just Eli pronounced my name wrong. He's probably stupid. And if you're guessing if I am stupid, yeah, I am. I'm a WoW player. Of course I'm stupid. You need to update your follower icon? Oh, yeah, it's not giving alerts for following, is it? I have alerts on for subs, and I have alerts on for donations. I have alerts on, yeah, donations, subs, and all that, but I guess it's not working for followers. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. One sec. I got you, dude. I got you. 1 second. I think, oh, wrong one. Alert box. Yes. No, it says it's on for followers. Yeah, it says it's on. Look, I'll show you. Followers. It says it's on. Yeah, now following. What do you mean it's not working? Oh, update. Oh, you don't like the zombie. I got you, dude. I got you. Yeah, I'll choose something else. Maybe I'll put like a little, like a Warlock logo or something, like my my Warlock logo that I have. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, okay. So, can anyone guess? Can anyone guess how much spell power do we have in this setup? And right here it says 709. That's not correct, because this isn't counting plus shadow damage. So it's not counting plus shadow damage. It's not counting the activation of the restrained eye or restrained essence of Sephiron. It's not counting the spell power from Mark of the Champion. How's it going alive? I'm doing pretty good, Shiki. IRL's been a little bit stressful these past couple months, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Does it count the aura of Ateus? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It does count the aura. Any guessers? 1.4k? Ooh, nope. Not quite 1.4k. Any guessers? Probably 900? No. More than 900. More than 900. Are we rating Warlock BIS gear? So, Shiku, we actually already went over the Naxxramas BIS for single target and trash, like single target boss. And we went over trash setups. Now we're just looking at some bonus setups. We looked at the highest amount of crit that you could possibly get in the game. And now we're looking at the highest amount of spell power that you could possibly get in the game. You guys are getting close. Catalan, you're getting close. You're getting close. All right. No more guessing. Guessing's done. We're done. Let's look at it. Okay, we're at 836, right? Here, let me bring up the calculator. Let's get the calculator out. Check this out, boys. Okay, so with shadow damage, like Fel infused leggings, the enchant on the gloves, shadow damage on our gloves. So let's add that up. That's 836. 1, 2, 3, 836. Boom. Now, let's activate Restrained Essence of Sephiron. Let's activate this. Plus 130. Easy. Okay, what are we up to? 966. Damn, that's a lot of spell power. Okay, plus 85 for Mark of the Champion. Boom. Plus 8. 5. 1051. Damn. Okay. What about if we add Flask of Supreme Power? Plus 150. All right, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Plus 150. Oh my god. All right. Greater Arcane Elixir. How do 35? Okay, yeah. And then Shadow. Boys, look at this. That is so much spell power. Look at that. That's crazy. Oh, oil too. Yeah. Brilliant. Wizard oil. Just double checking, make sure I don't get the wrong value. 36. And technically this isn't even right. Because we could use the blessed oil. Blessed wizard oil. 60. So we did plus 36. We do another plus 24. 1336. What? As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tell me if you actually sat through the whole video. I know this was a super long video, so comment down below if you actually sat through the whole thing. I really want to know how many people actually were able to make it. In addition to that, let me know if you guys like this style, if you like the whole VOD recording from Twitch in that more freestyle type of video, or if you like the more structured type of video. I have a feeling you guys might like the more structured type of video, but there's also a lot of people out there that like the more one-on-one type of feeling from the Twitch video. So let me know that as well, guys. And please remember, please comment, subscribe, and follow my channel. All right, guys. Till next time. Bye.